Why doesn't she have the helmet?
Missed me? That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. YouTube's favorite underground climbing channel. So yeah, been pretty busy. I'm stocked up on fail videos. We're gonna be doing climbing fails videos today. In case you're wondering, we're gonna be watching people fail and we're gonna try not to fail like them. We're gonna learn the easy way instead of the hard way. I got a lot of these fails. You can come check them out. It's been a while since I made a video. Just life has gotten in the way. Got a third kid on the way, but I'm telling you, every time you guys subscribe or you buy merch, I get pinged all the time. It just draws me right back in. Don't worry, I'm not going to go anywhere. I plan on making these videos till I meet the big rock in the sky. Okay, so let's just hop right into it. I'm just going to do 5 basically because that's all I got time to edit today probably. Okay, so let's just hop right into it. Okay, so we got, it looks like a rappel class going on. Whoa! Whoa! Oh, I see what's going on here. To the untrained eye, this looks like a fail. But actually, it was fail practice. You see, nobody died. No one even got hurt. This was a whole scenario to show you what happens when you correctly... Okay, so let's try to break some of this down. If I miss anything, put it down in the comments. I'm going to try to catch everything right now. The good thing is, and the reasons no one's seriously hurt, is they have devices, at least from what I could tell, that are self-arresting. So like a gree-gree. Technically, you're not supposed to ever get your hand off the brake line, but it will assist the brake. So you can let go of the rope and you shouldn't go anywhere if everything's working correctly. You always have backups, you always have your hand on the rope because in case things get worn down or whatever. I mean, I have gree-grees that are like as old as me that are still working really well and grabbing the rope. So I mean, gree-grees are pretty bomber and you really only mess up if you're like, if you pull down on it and panic brake it or you mess up if you it's like a user error usually. So they're pretty bomber, and I tell people to get themselves a gree-gree if they don't have a gree-gree. But other people say that gree-grees are more advanced, and I think even Petzl says gree-grees are more advanced. You probably should, man, I'm gonna get off on a rabbit trail, but you should definitely learn, and I'll have to do another video, a whole video on this, but you should always learn how to use like a tube device and what exactly is, if you're brand new, what exactly is going on here that helps you belay a person. But anyway, I digress. The person's basically going over an edge, and we're supposed to always respect the edge, right? And he's off to the side with this almost like, I want to call it like a corner. And that's all fine and dandy. The one guy's trying to guide his rope into maybe a slot or something. And once that rope's in a slot, it's not going to go left or right anywhere because it's pulling down in a slot. So that's probably what his plan was. However, the dude loses his balance, his foot goes over to the side, and now the rope is going to go to the path of least resistance. It wants to be, I don't even know how to describe it like in physics terms, but it wants to be like where it's shortest. Like if you put a rope on an edge and you pull all the way over here, it's going to want to slide to where it's shortest. So that's what happens here. It slides over. He has a rope protector on it so he doesn't cut it, but now the rope protector is below the rope, so the rope is still sliding across an edge. That could really cut it. Ropes going sideways is way worse than like a vertical cut on a rope. You don't want to cut a rope sideways, but the rope's also not in one position. It's sliding across. Hazardous. that guy takes one hell of a whipper, but no one goes all the way down because of, like I said earlier, they probably have Grigories on, I'd bet. Not the way to lead by example, I'd say. But, you know, you live to learn another day. They should have just went down right where they are is where they should have repelled. I don't know why they were going over to the other side. Okay, I think I spent enough time on that. Have any questions about that? Leave it. The other thing is there's other people standing there, not tied in, and they're right next to the edge, and you got another guy over. What if one of those guys were standing on the other side? You see, it's like, you can't just think, oh, I'm sturdy, you know, I feel good, I'm not going to fall off. Because what if someone else knocks you down? What if someone else trips? You know, people trip and they drag you down. So, respect the edge. Okay, so on that same subject, this dude is not using an assisted rappel device like a Grigori. He's using it like an 8, like this. And if you take your hand off of this and you don't have a backup Prusik, like a hollow block or something, you're going for a ride. And here's another thing I have experience with this. So let's say, I don't know, you weigh whatever you weigh, right? Let's just throw any number out there. I weigh like 130 pounds. If you go underneath the waterfall, and what you don't realize is water weighs a lot. Sometimes these waterfalls are dropping like bathtubs of water like every second. And if you go over to the right a little bit and let that water fall on you, it's actually gonna like really increase your weight and like it's really surprising if you've ever done it. So it'll actually like really force you down. So if you don't have really good friction on your device, you will get like yanked down and go for a ride. I don't know if that's exactly what happened here. I think he just got wet and lost control and went for a ride. At least he had his helmet on, because when he hit the ground, man, going unconscious and then falling into a pool, you better have somebody with you. It looks like he's all right though. He's still conscious and moving around. Probably just a bit banged up and bruised. But yeah, there you go. Assisted and unassisted rappel devices. Okay, check this out. Look how much slack this dude has. Like, he has enough slack to like hit the ground or something. At least give enough force to just completely rip their belayer off, you know, and make their belayer fly. So I hear this is a pretty notorious jump. I mean, with the amount of slack he had, he may as well just untied, jumped over, and then had his belayer throw him the rope. If I was the belayer, I would be like, oh, you want that much slack? You know, forget it. I don't want to get pulled off. Here, just make the jump, solo it, and then I'll chuck you the rope, if that's the way you want to do it. What you should do is you just take one end of the line, right? You take one end of the rope, because what he's probably worried about is trying to make the jump and then getting yanked back. You know, that's the fear, right? You take the end of the rope and you just whip it over, right? And then you see the tail hit this corner, and then you're like, okay, so that's how much slack I need. And then you give yourself maybe another foot or two. You don't need to give yourself, I don't know what this is, like half a rope length or something ridiculous. They both made it over, so, you know, right on. They did it, but man, Sketch City. Let's talk a little bit about traverses. It said when you traverse, both parties lead. What does that mean? So if you're traversing across and then you're like if it's a multi-pitch scenario, you're traversing across, you're basically gonna take, if you fall, you're gonna take a pendulum. It might be a big one, it might be a small one. Your follower is gonna have to come clean those pieces. They got the same scenario. Once they fall, they're gonna pendulum to the next piece. So both sides get the same kind of leader fall. So when you're placing pieces, you really got to think about, how's my belayer going to clean these? What's going to be like for him to clean it? What kind of falls is he going to take? And you got to put correct directionals to think about your belayer. This looks like a single pitch scenario. I'm talking about multi-pitches. But let's just see how this guy does here. This guy's helmet on, so right on. That's good. Looks like he's going to try to make like a move here, and it doesn't make it, and whoop, swings around. really good jump, but gets banged up. So where did he go wrong here? How could he have gotten out of this without getting a single boo-boo? Well, all he could have done is stick some more pieces. Okay, the more pieces he got here, the better. He's got 1, 2. So, you know, you get this like going up, get it done mindset, which is I'd say it's the wrong mindset to have. A lot of people come out of sport climbing or bouldering and then get into trad climbing and think it's the same thing. It's not. The goal is not to get up the climb. Sometimes the climb wins in trad climbing. That means it's a project. It may be a multi-day project. You have to go over there, you have to find what the holds are like, what the protection is like, what the rock is like. Sometimes you have to rappel down from the top and just like scope out and pre-place all the gear. And then come back another day and then you could get the gearing right. You got to think about it as a project. That's how you're going to climb and be a long-term climber with no injuries. If you want to be a bold climber, as they say, there's no old, bold climbers. Okay, so I'm just saying you don't want to get hurt. If you want to throw caution to the wind, you could go ahead and just do that if you want. If you want to try to be more cautious, you can be more cautious. And that's the thing with climbing. I always say climbing is as dangerous as you want to make it. So you got a little boo-boo and he's all right and he's got a little story to tell. So there you go. You could have just put a couple more pieces in there, he would have been all right. If there are pieces to put. Here's a good example of exactly what I'm talking about. So I guess she found it too hard to go around the outside. So what she's gonna do is go around the inside. And that's pretty, that's pretty cool. That's a fun little trick, right? Guess what? Now, your belayer's gotta do the same thing. Your belayer's gotta come through that hole. What's he gonna do? He's gotta untie and then, go and then retie. I think you could ask your belayer just to, you ask the leader to pull up the rope and then lower it back down so the leader's up there, makes an anchor, pulls up the rope, drops it back down, and then you retie it so you don't have to go through the hole. Because what happens if your belayer's too wide for the hole, right? So, yeah, you have to think about what your belayer's going to have to go through too. But this looks like, a single pitch. If she fell there, you may end up ruining that rope too. So you got to think about that. That rope, it looks like Joshua Tree type stuff. So that stuff is really abrasive. It's probably gnarly on the ropes if you fell on that. But good example. Okay, we'll wrap it up with a Boulders Bro finish. So this is soloing. Changed my mind. I mean, you're way off the ground. There's no mats. Boom! What is that, a broken tailbone or something? What happened? The rock was not as good as you thought. Oh, that rock has been there forever. It's solid. Look, the ocean's been battering it forever. It's good. And then a big piece falls off, comes down, doesn't hit him in the head. Takes a nice little bounce. It looks like he's all right, but man, if he smacked his head, went straight upside down, just like pick him up, put him in the ocean, and just, salute him off, because that's it. You're done. Get some crash pads and some friends, guys. Like, whatever. It's funny, because it's like, if you do it, if he topped it, it's like, oh man, that guy is awesome. He's got some balls. But then it's like, he falls off, cracks his head, dies. He's like, what an idiot. So it's like, what's the point? May as well just climb safe. It's kind of crazy. How's the saying go? Courage is doing something you know may hurt, but you do it anyway. Stupidity is the same thing. Yeah, life is hard, and so is climbing. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Josh Perry, climbing out here. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know if I missed anything, and I'll try to be back soon. Josh Perry, climbing out of here.